Hello and welcome to the Ending Body Burnout Show. We are your hosts, Chris and Philly, co-founders of a multi-award-winning functional medicine practice, serving busy people with energy, mood and gut issues.
While busyness, addictive doing, people-pleasing and perfectionism might be the norm, it's not normal, and it's a major contributor to health issues.
Our goal with this show is to give you a holistic root cause approach to healing your body so that you don't have to continue doctor or diet hopping or popping a gazillion supplements hoping something might stick.
So get ready to heal your body, get your spark back, deeply connect with yourself and step into the life of your dreams.
Let's dive in. Hello guys and welcome to this episode of the Ending Body Burnout Show. Philly and I were just reflecting on how many episodes we have recorded and at the time of recording we're up to 155, so this one's probably going to be around 160 or something like that. That's pretty cool.
Which is cool. 3
That's
years.
really cool.
We're
3
probably
years.
3-year anniversary maybe. We should probably find that out.
Yay. Crowd
2
goes
year
wild.
anniversary.
Awesome. Okay, so today's episode is all around COVID-19.
Which is also the sixth year or the 5th year, 2026?
March the 25th or the 26th was the day that I had to call all our members of the gym and tell them to not come in and to stay at home.
6 years.
Yeah.
So yeah, this month also marks the sixth year anniversary of COVID-19
In Australia.
in Australia. Oh, I think even USA was March as well.
Was it? I'm pretty sure it was around like February, January kind of thing. I don't
Anyway,
know.
for
Anyway,
us, for
who
Chris
cares?
and I, 6 years.
6 years, yeah. Big time.
I've actually had this idea for this podcast has been on my radar for probably 3 years. So I'm like, one day I would love to do a podcast episode on just the collective trauma that that's generalized, that most people experienced during COVID in some way, shape or form. And also to talk about if that trauma is still stuck in your system. Because if you haven't done anything active around clearing trauma from that experience, it's highly likely still embedded in your neurology. So we thought we would, do a podcast episode on what that would look like if that is happening for you. And then we're going to do a part 2 episode. So for the following week, we will actually take you through a practice that we use inside our Ending Body Burnout method with our clients. There's lots of different practices we use for processing past traumatic events, but we're actually going to take you through one of those in part 2 episode of our COVID series, 2-part series.
COVID for me was different to most people that I talked to at the time. I was feeling some.
Can we
kind
talk
of
about
way.
that a little bit?
A little bit later
Yeah.
on. Yeah.
Yeah. Just because it will be useful for us to talk about our different experiences and how that shows up for different people.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Okay, so I want to talk about anniversaries first of all. So anniversary of our podcast, anniversary of COVID. What I've seen in practice, and I thought it was a bit woo-woo when I started noticing it, or actually it was when I was a student and I was doing work experience with a naturopath who is also a homeopathic practitioner, and she did energy healing as well, and she talked all about anniversaries all the time. She's like, oh, yep, such and such is booked in again. I reckon it's been a year. That's probably because their wife died at this time 10 years ago and their body's speaking to them again. And she was always right. So if you're noticing that you're having a bit of a rough month this month, it could be connected to COVID-19 trauma. I mean, COVID also expanded over many, many, many months and years, so it could be showing up at different times for you. But I thought I would just mention that because it's not uncommon for trauma responses in the mind and body to ramp up on anniversaries. Our cells have memory. Our muscles have memory. Our brain, our unconscious mind holds memory. And we are cyclical beings. So anniversaries, such as 1 year around the sun, your body can speak up when your conscious, logical, rational mind doesn't realize it's happening. We actually had a client, she shared her story in our podcast, Sam. She was getting gallstone attacks and they always ramped up around her birthday month, which carried a lot of sadness, loneliness, and neglect from past events, especially from her childhood. And it was almost like right bang on, right before her birthday, another gallstone attack. I mean, she healed from it and she no longer gets the gallstone attacks. But it was just super interesting that the body can speak on anniversaries of traumatic events such as COVID, natural disasters, maybe if you had a car crash, or the anniversary of losing a loved one. Just something to keep in mind. So let's chat about all the ways that people experienced trauma during the pandemic. And I'm pretty sure you'll probably be aware of most of these. You've probably experienced a lot of these as well. So we'll just whiz through them just so that we've got a bit of context around what we're talking about. And this is also how it showed up for me and also how it's shown up for clients in our practice when we have realized that the onion layers of why they were experiencing body burnout was related to some COVID-related trauma, plus lots of other things. Big one for me was financial insecurity and stability. So Chris's gym got locked down, all my clients disappeared. I was practicing functional medicine back then. Everyone thought the world was going to end, and so everyone just disappeared. And then I'm freaking out thinking, how the heck are we going to make money? And that was really stressful because we also pivoted the business at the same time. We made some boo-boos. There were some things that we put out into the world that didn't quite take off. And, in hindsight now, I'm like grateful for those experiences I learned and I growed. But back then it was really traumatizing. Like it was just feeding into these financial worries and money fears that were already there pre-COVID anyway. It was just that COVID amplified them. There was also, again, for me, and I know a lot of other parents, the juggle and overwhelm of homeschooling while also trying to work full time, and just feeling so mentally and physically stretched. I know for me and other people that I speak to that there was a lot of getting the COVID jab pressure. Personally from my family, there was some pressure from my family, not in terms of Chris, but extended family, that it's like, if you don't get the jab, you're going to kill your dad. He's got like a heart disease condition, blah, 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 blah. And these words were kind of said that way. And so here I am trying to be like a good daughter, good sister, good aunt. Also in the profession, month by month, there were different states that were like, okay, nutritionists, naturopaths, functional medicine practitioners, you need to get the jab now. Luckily, Tasmania was never mandated in terms of my profession, so I wasn't forced to do that from a career point of view and a work stability point of view. But I know that there were a lot of clients and a lot of friends and people that we spoke about that lost their jobs because of the vaccine, or they got it, but they felt really pressured, bullied, ostracized around doing it. One of our clients, Jo, who shared her healing story on our podcast, spoke really into this, that, there was just so much bullying and so much pressure around getting that vaccination. Then we've had other clients who have had vaccine injuries. We've also had clients who are still recovering from long haul COVID. And so, that's another way that trauma showed up during COVID times, through ill health, or, there were even deaths. Some people's loved ones died, whether it was from COVID or the vaccine or vaccine injuries. And so there was a lot of collective trauma. I feel like there was so much media hype around this as well, that just amplified people's experience of how scary
yeah.
and frightening this experience was.
Karl Stefanovic just came out this past week I don't know when you're listening to this, guys, but this past week he talked about his role. He was really ashamed and sorry of his role in the scaremongering campaign around COVID, and he says he put that he wishes his role was more around education rather than compulsion and campaigning. And I think that's really something that did happen. I'll speak about this in a second, but the media, what you mentioned, family and other people were saying around, you're going to kill blah blah. You're gonna do that is what was.
Do you
that's
care
just
about your dad?
That's
of
just.
Course I do.
But those words weren't theirs.
Yeah, they
as
weren't
well.
theirs.
They weren't theirs. It was parroting.
The government's words.
Honestly,
and the media's words.
We'll talk about that in a
And
second. But
vaccination companies' words that were like, we want to make a lot of money with this potentially.
well, actually, may as well talk about it now because that is for me when I think about like this charge that I'm feeling in myself right now. I noticed I was breathing. I was off mute and I'm like grinding my teeth and I'm like, I'm feeling a feels. I'm feeling a thing. And it was my highest value. I was just reflecting on this. My highest value is around freedom, and I am very, very clear on my boundaries. And I don't mind who you are. If you're the Queen of England, pick a prime minister, any prime minister, my wife, my children, my mum, my dad, my mother-in-law, my father-in-law. I don't mind who you are. I value my freedom as much as Philly. You value your sleep. I'm high up there with freedom, right?
Yeah. Well, it was interesting, like as you talk about that, because neither of us got vaccinated. Mine was around health. Like it's like I value my health, and I don't know what will happen if I get this vaccine.
The outcome was the same, but with different reasons.
Your higher value was freedom. It's like, hell, I am not going to get this vaccine because I have rights. And I'm not going to let someone tell me what to do when I actually have a choice in this matter and I choose
And it doesn't make sense to me. Yeah. Make me understand. And then it's like, well, you should. I'm like, well, now I don't trust anything you have to say. Let me hear from somebody else. Well, you should. Okay, well, I'm not listening to you either. And but what I was getting at is trauma for guys and girls like me with that freedom value. There is a lack of trust around the government. Politics is always pendulating, and I see a lot of similarities with other times in the past where systems and whole regimes collapse because the pendulum swings in the freedom direction in an unhealthy way, and stuff. So my point is, just real quick, that trauma might not be like there can be a governmental political trauma where people lose trust in elected officials, they lose trust in their system, and our country is not the same as it was pre-COVID, and I think that that's the pendulum.
And the freedom wasn't just about the jab; it was also like you would like if I think about the gym, it's like you were dictated that I got told you cannot run your business in a physical facility anymore. It's like, how can I mean, like, you know, we pivoted online and then it ended up being the best thing because then you finished up in that career.
Here we are.
And here we are today together. But yeah, there were just so many ways. Even like you can't come into my shop unless I see that you put
show me your sticker.
Sanitizer on. You're not wearing a mask. You're a bad person. Get out. You know, there were just like a lot of things like that. So that's definitely another way, a big way that people would have experienced trauma. I noticed that a lot of clients' health anxiety really flared up around that time, and maybe it wasn't even there at all. It's kind of like, I've got some health issues, but then that really ramped it up. So people who were told that it's like, you're at high risk of dying from COVID, you cannot go out, or you have to get like 3 vaccinations to protect yourself. You know, it just caused so much fear of being in the world. There was also loneliness, isolation. Didn't the suicide and mental health, like the depression rates, just like increase so much during that time. And just the experience of uncertainty. No brain, no nervous system likes uncertainty. And basically COVID was just a year, 2, 3 years of uncertainty, especially if we're talking about in Australia. People who lived in Melbourne had it super tough with the ongoing lockdowns.
Yeah.
So there was a lot going on during this period of time, and that's why I've had it in my heart that I'm I want to do an episode on this because it's been and gone and it's past now, but is this still stuck in your system somehow, contributing to your mental and physical health issues? I also, because I was considered essential worker, because I was in the health space, I was allowed to continue operating in person, even though I chose for a period of time to just do it fully online. But when I came back in person, I was just constantly worried about spreading the germ, even though I'm I don't want to get the vaccination, but also there is this real thing that is happening. And I'm also meeting with clients who are more vulnerable. And so I was just constantly overthinking and worrying about, am I going to make someone sick? Am I going to make someone sick? Even, going out into public or the shops or wherever I was, it was just constantly I feel fine. I think I'm okay, but what if I'm carrying COVID right now and I give it to someone?
This is a huge pattern that we see still today, but not around COVID. This could be around just trying to solve any sort of puzzle or problem around health. There's a lot of fear and shame and guilt and frustration and overwhelm, all this sort of stuff. And pick an illness, any illness. What's the most recent one I'm thinking of is just around, I had a conversation with someone around Hashimoto's and thyroid and trying things and stuff. And it's the guilt and the shame that we heap upon ourselves and that other people say, you should be doing this, you should be doing that. And we get stuck in a matrix of frustration and flare-ups and things like that. And it can become very confusing. And you lose hope. But it's natural in that instance for a person to lose hope as well.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
Yeah. Something else I personally struggled with was as a practitioner, so I guess a position of leadership, I was getting a lot of questions around the vaccine. And I'm I have an opinion, but to give my due diligence, I want to make sure that whatever I share with people, I'm giving them the pros and the cons, but I'm also basing it on research and what we know so far. So far out, I did this, I thought it was just going to be a 1 hour webinar where I think I sold it for $27 or something. It's come along, learn the pros and cons, and you can make your own decision. Do you remember that? It ended up being a whole day of talking live with people all about the vaccine.
What was that
COVID
on? What's that
and
thing?
The immune system. Because I put so much pressure on myself and I wanted to try to do the right thing, even though no one really knew. There wasn't enough time and space and research to really know how both the COVID and also the vaccines were affecting us. But I was just in the goodness of my heart, I wanted to do the right thing. And part of wanting to do the right thing was, and I've never shared this publicly, although I have with people privately and some clients privately, but I want to share it now because it actually feels very liberating that it feels safe to do this.
Are you talking about the test one?
Yeah.
Before you go into the rest of it, I just want to clarify what those tests are as well.
The rat test.
Yeah. These are the story you're about to say. Philly's got a story about rat tests.
Do the start of it?
Yeah,
the story there?
just about what they actually are. So, okay, those tests that you could walk into the service station, into 7-Eleven nowadays, and you can on the discount shelf.
You can still buy them now.
You can still buy them for $5, $10 or whatever they are. It's just a little cotton swab that you shove up your schnoz and
everyone would know what a rat test is.
You know what they are. No. But these same ones that you can get from 7-Eleven
were the same ones that they started using.
That Philly's going to talk about in this story.
Yeah, okay. So this was at the start of, I can't remember what, it would have been a few months into it. They just developed the rat test. And this was when... I don't think
it was a few months. I think it was in...
Is it a year?
No. I think it was in the middle of lockdown.
Okay.
So May.
Okay.
April, May.
Yeah, so that's a few months. Or a month
so
or two.
a month. Yeah.
Anyway, whatever. Early on in COVID.
Yeah.
And this is when, if you wanted to get a rat test done, if you were showing signs of COVID, you had to line up and wait 2 hours as you drove through a football stadium to get a nurse or a doctor to take your swab. Okay. So during this time, Nutripath, who are the company that we use our lab tests with, they released a rat test, one that you could do at home. And I'm like, wow, this is ingenious. I mean, like, yes, people have to pay for it. I think it was like $60 or something. But if you want to save time, you don't want to go out, you don't want to wait for hours, or if you just want to have it sitting at your home, so you can do your own little self swab, send it into the labs and see if you've got COVID or not. Happy days. Like, cool. What a great idea. And so anyway, I put up a post on social media and I said, hey, yep, I have access to this lab test. If anyone wants it, just let me know. It does cost money. Like, you can do it through the medical system and it's Medicare rebated. But if you wanted to fast track that, here you go. Here's a test. We have never had a post go viral like this post did. Like, it had thousands.
We got media coverage and
it
things
had
like
thousands of, not likes, there were a lot of angry faces.
There was lots of
there were people
abuse.
abusing me in the comments. Like,
Yeah.
what right do you have? You're just a nutritionist, or what even is a functional medicine practitioner? This is irresponsible. This is unethical, blah, 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 blah. And so, like, after a day.
Philly's crying.
Oh.
She's in tears and I'm just like.
I was trying to do.
All right, let me warm up my Facebook responsing muscles.
Well, see, like, I was trying to do the right thing. I thought that this would be a really lovely, helpful thing to, like, give people the opportunity to have this. And I was expecting, like, lovely, like, supportive comments of, like, yes, please,
You were
can I get a rat
smashed.
test? So
We were smashed.
I was gutted. And traumatized, and I deleted the post probably within 24 hours because I'm like, this is, and like, it was shared I don't know how many times, like hundreds of times. And then I think a couple of days later I got a call from the newspaper that said, so
what are you doing? Are you selling these tests
they're
or
like,
something?
so we've heard that you're selling these rat tests and, you know, we want to write a story about it and we would like to get a comment from you. Would that be okay? And still to that moment, I didn't think I'd done anything wrong. I was like, yeah, sure, I'm happy to give a comment because I haven't done anything wrong. The thing with the tests too, when they were released, is TGA actually approved them.
Yeah.
Like, they weren't just sold on the black market. It was a reputable test.
They were official.
It was official. It had, like, the certified gold standard stamp on it. But it just went nuts. And so anyway, and then the newspaper person said, are you okay if we use your name? And then I'm like, yes, because I haven't done anything wrong. But then as soon as I hung up the phone, I'm like, am I going to get in trouble for this? And so anyway, like, I don't think I had already deleted the post because I'm like, this is just nuts. And then a week later, Nutripath pulled the test off the market as well. So I assume that they would have got massive backlash, as well as all the other practitioners that were announcing that this test is available. Anyway.
How dare you guys make money? The only people who are allowed to make money are American pharmaceutical companies. Get out of it.
So I was insomniac by this point. I already was having trouble sleeping because of all the financial stuff and just the stress of homeschooling and pivoting the business. But by then I was like, I could not even close my eyes at night. And then all my health issues really, really ramped up. And the cherry on the top it was probably about a month or so later, or a few weeks, I got an email from TGA warning me that I had been negligible, whatever their words were.
Negligent.
And that if I didn't rectify this, then I would either be fined, I actually think it was more than 150. I think it was like $300,000, or I would go to jail. And I'm reading this email. I'm like, go to jail? what? I'm like, I've already deleted the post. I haven't sold one test. And so that was so stressful because then I had to try and, talk to TGA and explain what happened and it's already been deleted and I'm not doing anything wrong. I didn't ever do anything wrong, but I'd still had they put a black mark next to my name as a troublesome practitioner, which then meant for 5 years. So it was really only this last year that I could I could get insurance without needing to explain what happened. So for 5 years, every time I went to renew my insurance, I had to call up the company, tell them the story again. They were totally fine with it. They're like, oh, that's okay. So anyway, that was massive.
It's huge. That's a very big T trauma right there.
There was
huge.
big T, and I definitely did some really specific work around that and everything that I spoke about because it was just, and it wasn't. No, we'll talk about that in a moment because it wasn't just those experiences. It's kind of that was just more stuff that added to the
mush it all
pressure
together.
cooker.
I have one of my favorite analogies around this is about how trauma is like a cake or something else that you eat and it's just undigestible because there's so much that you're putting into you at one time. Fire hydrant kind of, you want a drink? Well, here you go, fire hydrant. This is what trauma is like. It's too much to handle. It can't digest it. It makes you feel sick. It makes you feel frustrated, overwhelmed, stretched thin, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about how trauma gets stuck in the body. So Bessel van der Kolk wrote the amazing book, The Body Keeps the Score, which beautifully explains how trauma gets stuck in the body. So it was pretty groundbreaking when he first released the book because previous to that, a lot of people in the kind of psychological world thought that trauma was just a mental problem. It was just a mental memory that you needed to change. But through van der Kolk's work and many others, they discovered that trauma actually gets physically stored in the body by storing the experience in the nervous system, the muscles and the tissues. So essentially the body remembers what the mind tries to forget. So you could pass through COVID. It'd be it's okay now because all the borders are open now and people, we're not getting pressured to have vaccines anymore and people aren't dying from COVID. Yet if your body is still holding on to past distressing events during that time, the body is still going to manifest symptoms. So things like chronic pain, tension, fight, flight, freeze patterns and reactions. And this not only shows up in your mental health, but it can also show up in your physical health. So essentially, when you've got this stored trauma in the body, it causes your nervous system to be more wired and on and dysregulated. It causes your amygdala, so the fear part of the brain that's kind of looking for, it's your survival part of the brain. So it's trying to help you to survive by looking for danger. That gets amplified. And then the brain and the nervous system is also interacting with your body system. So that's where you can develop adrenal fatigue, mitochondria can retract, your gut can switch off, you can, your immune system can suppress, you can accumulate a lot of pathogens, your detox pathways can get burnt out. And essentially that's how the body holds the score. That's how physical symptoms can show up as a trauma response. And a pretty good indication of that is when you experience stress or a trigger and your symptoms flare up, there's highly likely a traumatic response and pattern stuck in your neurology that needs processing. And it's kind of just a pressure cooker of stuff that happens over time. So COVID was unlikely the only trauma you have ever experienced. There's big T traumas and then there's also little t distressing events. And they will accumulate over time, right from the moment that you were born or even in the womb to the day that you die. Now, if you're not processing those throughout your life, these traumas end up stuck in your unconscious mind, nervous system, brain, and it ends up being this big pressure cooker that over time is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And then you can imagine something like COVID coming into this pressure cooker. It is the last very big straw, or it could be the last very big straw on the camel's back that then causes symptoms to start manifesting and exploding. So if that is you, or, you know, you can see that that pattern has happened, then that's why it's happening. And this pressure cooker analogy to it I was thinking about this, Chris, and I haven't, besides writing it on the notes, and we haven't talked about this, but I wonder if that was...
I like these ones.
I wonder if that's partly why COVID really affected me. I mean, you talked how it affected you from a freedom point of view, but it affected me in like all ways because you'd already do it. Like, I hadn't started my journey in terms of like deep inner metaphysical healing and rewiring, whereas you'd kind of had like 3 years of it.
Yeah.
Really. And I just wonder if maybe your pressure cooker was a lot less than mine when COVID happened because of the work that you'd already been doing to process past experiences.
I wouldn't say it was only 3 years, but I would say in specific coaching sphere, it was three years, yeah. But yeah, I feel like, I mean, it still hit me. It still pulled me off track and required some readjustment. And it was a big thing, big experience.
Yeah.
Just a little bit of a different thing. I enjoyed my experience of lockdown. I thought it was probably the best time that the planet's had in terms of noise pollution for a really, really long time. I think
was a nice piece to it.
I don't know if you can hear. I was trying to get the microphone to pick up. We've got these crickets and cicadas in our garden at the last couple of months, and I don't know that back in COVID, I remember walking up to the gym, which I had to do because that was where all the stuff was. I just couldn't have clients in there. I remember walking there, and we lived about maybe a 15-minute walk for me. I used to take about half an hour to walk up there, just nice and slow, relishing in the quiet. It was early in the morning and late at night that I would come home, and it was silent. It was amazing. It was one of the best times ever, just to like hear no cars on the highway, on the roads, just to hear people talking and laughing in their houses as I walked past them. It was a beautiful, beautiful experience. I'll remember that forever.
And you know what wasn't quiet? The Don Loop. Like any nature walks, which was also
so many people.
Which was also really lovely experience because there were so many people like out in nature, moving their body and really
like, hey,
excited to see each other.
Hey, how you going?
It's just like, hi, we can't like stay close to you, or, you know, I don't even know you, but it's so nice to see another human being right now.
Yeah, that was it. So yeah, I enjoyed it. I mean, there was challenges. It was overwhelming in some ways and frustrating in others, but it was a challenge, and which is another reason why I enjoyed it, because I was like, right, challenge accepted. Let me nut this puzzle out, you know. So I'm a bit abnormal when it comes to things like that, but it affected me in a different way.
Yeah, cool.
Definitely dysregulated my nervous system when it came to government governments, political oppression of the masses.
Tell me what to do.
Force adherence to prescribed protocols and mass prescriptions.
You definitely got into the aggressor role in the drama triangle. Definitely. And I was like, probably all three. I'm like trying to rescue. It's just like, oh no, I gotta help. Victim, oh no, like woe is me. Aggressor, yeah, I hate this too. Blah, 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 blah.
Conspiracy this, conspiracy that. Yeah, listen to this.
Whereas you were mostly aggressor.
neck minute. See, wasn't a conspiracy. It was actually real.
Yeah. Okay, so
Anyway.
here are some clues that you may still be holding on to unprocessed COVID trauma.
If you sound like Chris, you're obviously still.
Well, I mean, like you mentioned before, and I don't know, it's like, is this activating something that still needs some like, where you said, I was feeling a bit of charge in my body. So
Yeah, I think so.
It will, or
In a different
trauma
way.
will show up as a stress or a trauma response, either through patterns or through symptoms. And it might be mimics of things that really flared up during COVID that are still present in your mind and body. So, for example, for me, patterns that I knew, like even after the borders were open and like things started calming down, I still had email fear, which I actually talked about a couple of weeks ago with Dr. Amy. But one of the big ones was like, am I going to get like TGA telling me that I'm doing a bad thing again? Oh! And like, just like, it was always my first autonomic response every time that I saw that I had new emails in my inbox, which was like all the time. So I knew that there was some moving and processing that needed to be done around that. I also continued to run the pattern of doing the right thing, like especially in practice, fear of, I don't know, harming someone or doing something that was wrong that I would get in trouble for, trying to censor like how I showed up publicly as well in case I got like trolled again, so scared to speak out. So I either stayed silent or tried to be really overly politically correct and, and making sure that I never shared my opinion. It definitely, for me, like the patterns around COVID exacerbated fear and uncertainty around money, which continued until I did some deeper work around that. And also being in business with Chris was really triggering as well. That's hard. Which again, like we joined forces right at the start of COVID when Chris is like, you know what, I'm done getting up at 5 a.m. every morning to gym to like train people. Let's create a functional medicine practice online where we can serve everyone. And physically for me too, I had a blow up of past symptoms. So previous to COVID, I was managing symptoms pretty well after doing a lot of lifestyle and functional medicine protocols. But this extra stress of COVID blasted all the symptoms. And also I developed insomnia, which didn't ease after borders open. And that's when I knew, like, far out, something is still stuck in my body. And also, it's not just COVID that's stuck in my body. This is a pattern that has happened and has been happening for decades prior to COVID. It's just that this has amplified it. It was really interesting though, because in my head I'm like, oh yep, I'll go back to sleeping again as soon as like I'm not stressed about this anymore. But it didn't happen. Consciously I was like, yep, like life is back to normal now. And then I would be so confused as to why I still couldn't sleep. It's because my body and my mind was still holding on to fear. And so therefore I needed to stay on even at night in order to control and manipulate things so that I was safe. I'll give you some other client examples. So people that we worked with specifically post-COVID where it was very clear that there was still unprocessed COVID trauma. So I mentioned Jo, and she shares very honestly and vulnerably her own story. So you can search Jo Healing Story, and you can find her podcast. But she developed a lot of anxiety, fear, panic attacks, especially around rejection. And when we started connecting the dots back, it's like, oh, okay, rejection came right from childhood, but also this COVID experience of being bullied around having the COVID jab and being rejected and isolated. It was that experience of rejection, even though COVID had finished, was still triggering psychosomatic anxiety, fear, panic responses in her body as well as physical symptoms. We had another client stuck in Melbourne lockdowns, almost like this vicious cycle, had a lot of stress with business and kids and mental health, and just having ongoing relapses of things like SIBO, fatigue, brain fog, fibromyalgia, especially when uncertainty showed up in present life. So again, COVID gone, but uncertainty showed up, and then these symptoms really flared up again. We've had clients who have come to us to recover and heal from jab injuries. And often when there's health anxiety, a lot of anger, resentment that has been born out of COVID that is still hanging around, that's another sign that unprocessed COVID trauma is still in the body. And essentially, if any past events or memories during that time feel really emotionally charged, or you're having a visceral response in your body when you think or talk about them, that's another sign. So, for example, when I was talking about the whole rat test experience, I could feel that my voice and my heart rate was increasing. But I know in the past when I've told that story, when it wasn't processed, when it was still stuck in my body, I would have had so much anxiety talking about that. I probably would have started crying. My hands would get shaky, whereas now I can share that experience of like it was pretty crap and it was pretty intense and like the world was crazy and I felt like it was a witch hunt. So there's still some emotion behind it, but I really feel neutral in my body and emotions around it. And in fact, I don't really even have any ill thought towards TGA, the trolls, the news reporter that, kind of like tried to witch hunt me. It's like, yeah, it happened. It happened. It sucked, but I'm okay. Like it's over and it's safe now. Also, if you're having dreams or nightmares that have patterns, associations with past experiences during COVID time, that is another clear signal. And you could also just ask your body right now, are you holding on to anything? Maybe even as we've been talking, you might have experienced sensations and signals, which again is your body's way of trying to say, hey, we are holding on to this. And you know what? It feels really heavy now and I don't think we need to hold on to it anymore. So can you release it? Can I send you a signal to say it's here and that it's ready to be done with? It's ready to be let go. Anything else you want to add?
Just kind of want to sing a song. It's over and done with. It's over and done with.
It's over and done with. It's over and done with. That's a song that Chris and I are singing in the musical that we're in this year in May.
I get to be in the very, very, very back for that one.
Okay, so we're going to finish up the episode. Again, there's going to be part 2. Part 2 is going to help you to start moving COVID trauma from your body. Now, to really robustly heal from past experiences, you'd need to go back and process and heal previous experiences even before COVID that haven't been processed, right back to childhood, because of the pressure cooker analogy. If it's just like, oop, I've got some events here in COVID, it will still be helpful, but to heal a dysregulated system because it's harboring and holding on to so much trauma, it must be thorough along your whole timeline. And there will be unconscious core beliefs tied into this as well, which are most likely always, not even likely, they're always linked back to childhood. And for some people, some body systems support might be needed as well. If you're presenting with physical symptoms or mental health issues that are connected to different body systems that have really depleted during COVID, and there are a lot of people that burnt out a lot of body systems and nutrient stores because of how much stress there was in a short period of time, we can help you do this inside our Ending Body Burnout Method program. So the doors open again in June, which you can pop your name down on the wait list and jump in June. Or if you're like, I don't want to wait until June, I do have a few spots available for a Connect the Dots initial consult, which is essentially the first step in our Ending Body Burnout Method, that you can start a little bit earlier to get some lab testing before the doors open. But yeah, stay tuned to next week. We're going to take you through a process to help eliminate negative experiences. And you can do this with any experience, not just COVID experiences.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys, for joining us. We will chat to you and especially you next time. See ya.
Thank you so much for listening. We so appreciate you. If you'd like to give us extra smiles, drop us a review and spread the love by sharing this episode.
You can also rate your own state of burnout and the root cause contributors by taking our Ending Body Burnout Assessment on our website. And if you're interested in learning about our group or one-on-one Ending Body Burnout programs, shoot us a DM via Instagram or Facebook.
Have the best day ever.